What's going on, everybody?
What's up? What's going on?
How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Not too shabby.
I figured after that opening, thank you for coming. Good night.
All right. Outro.
Woo! Cleveland rocks. No, I can't. Welcome, everybody, into the MHRT podcast. I am Mundungus Creevy, along with Glenn Hauser, Mr. Boggins, and a 6'10" Mexican.
Salutations.
Glad that everybody's here. We're kind of based off of last week's episode. We're kind of changing things up a little bit. You know, we came in here during the season with everything structured, and know where we're going and what we're doing, and now we're just going to kind of chat. Like, we're going to be doing. Obviously, we're going to talk about the quarterback situation with Deshaun Watson and all that. And boom, there's Christy. We're going to be talking about the quarterbacks and what we think is going to happen trade-wise, whatever. And then just talking football, whether it's Broncos football, NFL football, just football in general, because we love it and it's fun. Like the intro was talking about, we are live every Thursday, 7654. You can decide where it goes. On Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So go ahead and give us a like, subscribe, follow. Yeah. So you know when we're posting everything, and because we do live episodes, and then we do little like clips and snippets of the episodes, and on our Facebook page we share posts and things like that of different things that are happening throughout Broncos country and throughout the NFL. So make sure you go check that out. I think the biggest thing is obviously we missed out on Matthew Stafford. You know, that was something we talked about earlier in the season that we thought might have happened. And it looks like we made a push. We just didn't give up as much as some people were willing to give up, because they gave up a lot. Like for if they were giving up that much for like Deshaun Watson, okay, Matthew Stafford, it's a little much.
Personally, I think it was a good deal for the Rams, actually. You know, especially being in the NFC, competition isn't as strong as the AFC presently, and I mean, I think that's pushed them to one of the favorites in that conference immediately. And you know, those first round picks that they gave up, you know, they're not going to have a first round pick for like 8 years. It's crazy, but those first round picks are going to be in the high 20s, early 30s. I think it's a good deal for them. I would have done that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm glad that we didn't give up what Peyton had offered, which was our first round pick and Drew Lock. Apparently, I still think that Drew Lock should be given another chance at trying to go for some redemption. And I don't have anything against Matthew Stafford. I just think that his price tag was going to come high, regardless if the Rams hadn't jumped on that ship or not. And like Glenn was saying, the Rams did. They literally have the utmost trust in their head coach, and for the Rams to just go all in, you know, with the deal they made with Ramsey, the deal they just made with Matthew Stafford, the deal they had made before with Aaron Donald. So the fact that the Rams went out there and probably did what the Cardinals did last season in that blockbuster trade in landing DeAndre Hopkins, it just goes to show you that the Rams, having gambled so much, every little mistake and error, and if they don't make it to a Super Bowl or win one, is just going to be so much crucial and, you know, called upon and whatnot. Whereas the Lions' room for error is a lot more bigger. And if Goff, you know, flames out, at least the Lions got a couple of picks in helping with their rebuild.
Yeah, I think it worked out pretty nicely, actually. I think it was a pretty close to even trade, as far as like they were saying, the first round picks are going to be higher because they're in the playoffs with Goff, and they even had injuries, and so with Stafford, I think that elevates it, while the Rams got the cash dump the Goff contract a bit to the Lions, who can take it and are rebuilding, and they'll have a bridge quarterback for whoever they decide to try to work under, unless they really like Goff. Who knows? So I think that it does elevate the Rams very quickly in a decently tough, kind of inconsistent division over there with San Francisco's injuries, and Seattle's always he's got Russ, so they've always got somewhat of a chance. And then the Cardinals are pretty confusing, but on and off. But it's a decent division, and I think that they'll probably solidify themselves as the top of the pack unless the Niners really come back strong with all of their health concerns from this year.
I agree with that comment, by the way, before you go, Chris.
Muhammad. The Rams are crazy for giving up all that for Stafford.
Agreed.
I mean,
that's all I need to say.
And I mean, it kind of goes, giving up first round picks. It kind of goes in with what we're going to talk about with Deshaun Watson. I mean, there are certain teams in the NFL that really don't need a first round pick. They're at that place in the NFL where they're a quarterback away and they've got a playoff caliber team already. And so they just get rid of their first round picks and they're good to go. I mean, you look at, and we were talking about this before we came on, the Patriots traded out of the first round like 5-6 years in a row because they already had a playoff team. They were
Seahawks did it too.
Yeah, they were one player away and they went and got that player.
I mean, some teams are just ran on free agents. I mean, look at the Broncos when they went to the super, like once they started building that defense in 2014, 2015 into 2016. They were going and picking up everybody, TJ Ward, Aqib Talib, like they were just DeMarcus Ware. They were just like loading up on free agents, and that's kind of what the Rams do. Like they went out and got Jalen Ramsey. Before that, they had Marcus Peters, and then they were like, no, we want even better. So it's just what they do. It just makes sense, I guess, for their team, which is kind of crazy considering salary cap exists, but
I mean, sometimes that's a strategy that works. We've seen the Broncos do it a few times. And the thing is about that is for your first round pick, you can see what happens when, like our crazy season this season, you lose Von Miller. And what happens if Von Miller couldn't come back and then you gave up your first round pick? And so I'm not crazy about Stafford. I mean, he's great, but giving up everything that we have for one player, I mean, that's not really going to get you anywhere in the long run, especially Stafford. I'm not sure if he's the guy to be a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, and I'm kind of there with you. I mean, like, I don't think I would have wanted to give up more than like a first and lock for Stafford. I wouldn't have gone any higher than that. I don't even know if I would have wanted to do that. I like Stafford, but there's a difference between going after Matthew Stafford and going after Deshaun Watson. Like, if we can get Deshaun Watson, go get him. Like, if it takes 3 first round picks, go. It's like that's Deshaun Watson is kind of like, and I'm not comparing him to any quarterback. I'm comparing him to like a situation. That's like Peyton Manning at the Colts being 24-25 and being up for trade. Like, what would you do if a franchise quarterback is available at 24-25 and you know that he's like top 3 quarterback in the NFL? What do? You go get him. Like, yeah, it's going to be pricey, but I mean, if it's a couple first round picks, like, it's not like we're not going to have other picks. We have second rounders, third rounders, fourth rounders, fifth rounders, and it's not like we don't make a trade the following year for another player and get a first rounder back. I mean, you just don't know.
Well, it's probably going to be more than just first round picks. It's going to be a lot more than that. It's going to be first round picks, and then they're going to go after the young core, which Peyton said he didn't want to give up, and that's going to be Jerry Jeudy. That's going to be Von Miller. It's going to take more than just first round picks.
To Mohammed's comment, and I appreciate you joining the pod, and we're looking forward to actually meeting you live on Mile High Huddle next Wednesday. But I think one of the reasons the Rams did this and gave up so much is to get out of the terrible contract they gave Goff. So there had to have been a premium that was paid in that fashion just to get out of that contract. So now they've gotten out of that. They think they've got their guy at least for the next handful of years. I think he's going to be over 5,000 yards if he stays healthy this year, personally. One thing I had heard that the Broncos did not offer Locke, that was something that the Lions came back to, and that's when the deal was actually declined. that when they asked for Locke and when they asked for Judy, whether that's the case, but that's what I heard reported, and that there was more of a pick swap and some other considerations, but it wasn't such that they were willing to give up on Drew.
We wanted our cake and wanted to eat it too.
Exactly.
I heard that it like there were 3 offers and it morphed each time. Like the first one was the draft swap, and then it was the first round pick with Drew, and then they wanted a first round pick with Drew and Judy, and then Peyton was like, no, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah. Let me just say, as talented as Deshaun Watson is, I just don't think that his offer, if anything does happen, is just going to be even more than what the Rams gave up for Stafford. I mean, he's going to set the bar should something happen during free agency before the start of the 2021 season. And so far, we've seen that Peyton will not budge and will not bet the farm in terms of, going out there. Because, like I said, as talented as Watson is, one single player like that alone, I don't believe will be enough to turn this team around and, go contend with the Chiefs or anybody else in our division. Our division is getting stronger, but they're not getting stronger by going out there. And that's early to say because the Raiders can go out and do something dumb still, but they're trying to get better piece by piece. And I think that that's how Denver needs to congregate and empower and better themselves piece by piece instead of going all in on one piece and hoping for the best.
Hard disagree. Deshaun Watson is a generational player. It's not even close. Like if you were to redraft, I think Nick Kendall said it. If you were to redraft all the players in the NFL right now, it would go Patrick Mahomes and then Deshaun Watson. And like what you'd have to give up for him, first of all, we'd have to pay him. If we traded for him, have to pay $10 million the first year. You can still re-sign Justin Simmons and like front load it or be creative with it like the Chiefs did. So you could keep him. And if you're comparing Shelby Harris to anything Deshaun Watson could do for your team, it's not even buy Shelby Harris. Like I don't even care. You're getting Deshaun Watson for 15 years. I mean, of that level of play, and when we barely lost to the Chiefs last year, and the Raiders, and the first Raiders game was not good, but it's almost like someone threw 4 interceptions. I mean, it's just it's just a crazy argument for me. It's like if you want to give away 4 first round picks, fine, that's fine. If you're in the bottom end of the first round every year, who cares? Like especially drafts like this where it's way deeper in the later of the first and then on than it is in the top of the first. It's not even a question for me. If you can get him, get him.
Yeah, I heard I've seen a couple things where the starting offer for Watson, I think the Texans are looking for 2 firsts, a second, and then a player is like minimum what you're going to have to put in. I'm okay with that. I definitely think there's a cutoff of okay, that's too much. But like Glenn, you had texted me this morning. I think I said 3 firsts, 2 or 3 seconds, Locke and Miller, I think is what I'd give up. But I mean, we don't even know if we're going to get Vaughn back. Number one, I mean, with his contract, they could drop him, they could trade him, they could restructure him. I mean, we didn't have him last year, and yeah, it was definitely a drop off, but we can survive without him.
Okay, let me ask this question. Let me ask this question. Name one player on that team who is you wouldn't get rid of no matter what on the Broncos if we brought in Deshaun Watson?
Sutton?
Okay, great. Well, then you have Jerry Jeudy. You still have KJ Hamler. You still have this other young core.
You said one.
Yeah, I know. I'm saying you could get rid of literally anybody on that team, one player that you're that you're just I don't want to get rid of, and you still have Deshaun Watson, who made everyone on his team look amazing. Like last year, they had Will Fuller was their number 1 receiver. Name their tight end. You know what I mean? He elevates the team. He was.
How dare you put us on the spotlight?
He was leading the league in passing yards last year without DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Here's my 4 first round picks. I don't care. We will be in contention every year.
If we're giving up draft picks, sell the farm. I don't care. But if we're talking starting to get into Chubb. Well, I don't want to get rid of Chubb and not have Miller. That would be stupid. I don't want to give up, Sutton. My thing is like if we can get Watson with what we have on offense, that would I don't want to give up offensive players other than Drew Lock.
Yeah, but there has to be a balance. Like we didn't draft him, right? So that's the problem.
Right.
We didn't draft him, and you have to get you want a QB of that caliber. You have to give up something to get him. There has to be some type of to give and get for it. I mean, unless you want to start digging and trying to find something of that caliber, which good luck because it doesn't come around very often.
But they're from what I understand, they're looking for defensive starters. So here's the point: if the trade gets made early enough, you don't think that with the offensive weapons, a line that's better than people think they are, and Deshaun Watson as quarterback, that we're not going to be able to attract free agents that could fill in those gaps really quickly, especially with some of the contracts that we have that are disappearing. I do have to mention that with Kareem Jackson, the guy's a genius. I mean, he's creating another year of his own employment.
I think they were saying if Denver gets Deshaun, then Kareem Jackson goes in the Ring of Fame or something.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
I understand you used to play with him and you're your homies and everything, but you might not be here. So
yeah.
Oh, now I see what
that would be ice cold to cut him after hand delivering.
That's what could happen if the Broncos were to land somebody like that. They're going to have to start trimming around and try to save some cap room to start paying for a contract of his caliber as the
But again,
money.
We have a lot of cap space. Like cap space and money for Deshaun Watson is not the issue.
No, it's not.
What we have to give up for him. So
yeah,
I still think that we could go after Deshaun Watson and still sign the players that we had originally thought they would at the end of the season, because it doesn't really affect the cap that much. I mean, it will a little bit, but if you have restructure Vaughn like we were saying they were going to do anyways, still resign Shelby, sign Justin Simmons, like we still have all that cap space to do that. Plus, we have Deshaun Watson.
I just saw Kenneth Booker is said he had heard he was going to be part of the trade.
I'm trying to get to. There's so many comments in here right now. Where to go?
Deshaun Watson. Trade Deshaun Watson or Deshaun Hamilton for
on the sword for the Broncos. We will not give you up, Kenneth.
Kenneth, your stock is rising like at a massive. I think
it is. I should have invested in you like GameStop.
Deal. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. What if they included Kareem Jackson in
my
God. That's perfect.
That's funny.
Oh, by the way, there is a player that Kenneth Booker talked about in his very first published article. I can't remember his name, but I did read it. And
that doesn't help.
I read the article, though, but I can't remember the player's name. So you could be right on that aspect where if the Broncos trade and they get left with like third or fourth and fifth round picks or whatever, that they can try to hopefully find some uncovered gem later on in the draft and for the near future. But that also depends on who the coach is when that comes along. If we still have our GM, if we have a new owner, I mean, there's still a lot of factors to balance out. So, but if they can work some magic, I mean.
Don't say magic around Mundungus, please.
Imagine having a quarterback like Deshaun Watson and your coach, who's also the GM, gets rid of your left tackle, and then the number one receiver in the league.
Oh my God!
It's like, no, we don't need you. It's fine.
And said, but we got you David Johnson on the downside of his.
Yeah, we got you David Johnson and Brandon Cooks. Cool. Not even the first round pick.
Brandon Cooks is like the hot potato of the NFL. It's unbelievable.
So this is one of the reasons why I wanted to include like all NFL football. Like Chad brings up a comment. Did you hear Andrew Luck might want to come back to the NFL? I know the Colts have his rights. Crazy. I did see that there were a couple stories that were posted that there was an insider in the Colts that's friends with Andrew Luck that said that he's been talking about possibly wanting to come back. And I mean, I could see that. I don't know if he'd want to go back to the Colts, but you always hear about players that have left the NFL or players that retired that still have that itch that they want to come back.
Yeah, they miss
it.
it.
I mean, I'm not going to rule it out, but I never thought Luck would come back.
Colts would definitely be the place he would go back. They actually have an offensive line once he leaves.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, they kept Rivers pretty clean for most of that season. So
now that Luck's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be nuts.
Frank Reich is doing something really good over there.
Can you imagine? Hey, okay, worst case scenario. Luck comes back, goes to the Colts. Deshaun goes to the Raiders. What does our lives look like in the AFC for the foreseeable future?
A lot of white flag waving.
just death.
A lot of angry podcast episodes.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. Let's see. Muhammad, Stafford better be an upgrade over Goff, otherwise they're screwed for years to come. I mean, I think he is too. I can't really tell you. Maybe arm strength. You could definitely. Yeah, you could definitely see that the Rams were struggling a little bit under Goff. I do think Stafford's an upgrade. The thing that I'm seeing more as an upgrade is, pairing Stafford with Sean McVay. Like, I love Sean McVay. He's a good coach.
Non-defensive coach for once.
He would have gone for it on fourth and against the Buccaneers, but that's fine.
Ooh, Raul. I think they need to go for Fitzmagic. Give Drew another chance and fix the offensive line. No on the last two, yes on the first one.
If Fitzmagic is willing to come and play behind Drew Lock, I'm all for it. But, I mean, does he really want to stay in Miami and play second fiddle to
I don't think they're going to keep him.
I don't think so either, because I'm pretty sure that rubbed him the wrong way when Miami pulled that switcheroonie move heading into
I never understood that. Like, I get that Tua is going to be the future of the franchise, but I don't understand why you pulled Fitzmagic out when he was playing really well. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And then you switch him in and out when you don't think Tua can come back in the game or hold the lead. Like, that's just dumb. I don't understand.
It doesn't. Brian Flores messed that up gigantically. Not being able to see what Tua can do. Can he be clutch? Can he come back and win? And I just think that they messed up on that front.
Do you think last year's numbers for Watson was because they were always behind in games, garbage time? What do you all think? I mean, they are behind a lot.
Well, their defense wasn't the best. And they did have Brandon Cooks, but Brandon Cooks was he was up and down. And then they did have Will Fuller for a while. And I just think that I understand Deshaun's frustration in wanting to get out of Houston and bringing in the new head coach whose resume does not help him at all. So him wanting to go to a better team is understandable. It's just he just needs to make sure that he doesn't go to a team that kind of rivals or mimics what he's currently in.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about Deshaun Watson anymore.
Well, I'll just say that 4,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, and he didn't even play a full season. I don't think that's all garbage time.
Yeah.
Also including his 444 rushing yards. So, no.
Yeah.
And he was a quarterback in the AFC Championship the year before. I mean, they had a sizable lead against Kansas City and gave it up. So, I mean, the guy is
a trash defense.
I don't think we would be having these conversations. I think we'd be a little bit more patient with Drew if we didn't look at the other teams in our division and go, holy crap.
I think this is the way that I look at it. So, like, when you're looking at a first-year quarterback, you're expecting consistency, and then some areas where they show some bad signs of things. The problem is that we're getting the consistent bad side and then showing signs of good.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to flip. If it was flipped, cool, no problem. As patient as I could ever be. The problem is that he's showing consistently bad play and flashing good. And it needs to be consistently good play with flashes of bad that they can fix.
And I don't think there's anybody that doesn't want Deshaun Watson. I think there's a lot of people that are very loyal to the Broncos and they don't want to lose, good players. Like it's completely fine not to, want to bring in someone new. You get the team, brotherly, sisterly mentality. But I mean, Deshaun just would be nuts if we could do it, which I don't think so.
Any chance with Matt Ryan or Wentz? I doubt it.
Ooh.
Those contracts are trash.
I think that Atlanta said that they're not moving on from Ryan.
Stay away from those Reynolds.
And Wentz, we don't even know if Philadelphia's going to let him go. I mean, it sounds like they want to keep Wentz, start Wentz, and then let Hurts sit behind and learn, which is weird. Hurts played pretty well. I don't think I'd
know Nate Sudfeld, but he's pretty good.
I mean, I don't know.
Hey, they need a Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, no. What? Wentz is just too expensive. So is Ryan. Both of their contracts are ridiculous. And you're not getting. I mean, you're getting rid of them. You're still going to eat some money that you don't want to eat for no reason. So just run him dry. Whatever.
I heard they pulled Fitzmagic because of bonuses on his contract. Because of his starts and wins, they would have owed him more money. Huh? I never even thought about it that way.
I've never heard that, but if that's
true, I don't know.
that sucks.
I'm not going to say that ownership wouldn't do that because there's a lot of ownership out there that completely suck that would probably do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think the whole hiring of the new Philly coach is, coming from Indianapolis, coming from under Frank Reich is totally geared to getting Carson Wentz back on track. And if you saw his press conference, you'll know that this man is totally capable of handling any situation under pressure. That's for sure.
I did notice that Stafford wanted to trade after his coach started talking about biting knees. So that's probably why he wanted out. He's not a knee biter. He doesn't want to do that.
You can't find a lot of knee biters nowadays, Mike.
Okay, so it might just be me, but I never want the Broncos to fail, but I really, really, really want next year to go okay so that we can go get Bieniemy or go get Dable or go get any of those coaches and not have Shermer and Vic. And why is McMahon still there? I don't understand.
I don't
of
know.
any coaches, why is he still there?
You could pull a John Fox and go to the Super Bowl and then
screw that up
and then get fired anyways.
I never want the Broncos not to do well, but at the same time, I really would love to have Bieniemy or Dable as the head coach.
Yeah, you'll probably get your wish if Fangio has another season to try to turn it around, and
the bar is set at a 500 season. That's all you got to do. It's 500. If you can't do that, you should not be a head coach.
And that's not saying much because, literally last year, Fangio went on record and saying, everybody on our coaching staff is going to return. And then out of nowhere, so long, Scangarello, hello, Pat Shermer. So,
And they said Shula and someone else are also confirmed coming back. So they're not really, no one's really leaving unless they got, picked up by the Rams because
yeah, they're Denver West.
Yeah.
Christy, do you want to answer to Mike or do you want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead. Got nothing.
We cannot have another crappy season. I mean, to the point where we're hoping that it's bad enough that a coach ends up getting replaced. I mean, we have just too much potential. I'm just not prepared for that. I really am not. I think Vic could be a good coach. I think he makes some mistakes. I don't know why these teams, it seems like a number of them all have the same problems in terms of time management, their clock management, why they're not actually having somebody that part of their responsibility is to handle that. But for the most part, I mean, look at what he did with that defense. And he does let his coaches coach, maybe a little bit too much, but I mean, look what he did with 6th and 7th string cornerbacks. I mean, the guy was consistently putting us in these games. I mean, with the exception, we talked about it right before the show started. Judy dropped two games worth of passes. Drew blew some games. the Saints game was a handoff from the NFL. I mean, just in the Judy games and the NFL games, that we're an 8-8 team. So I mean, we're not really that far, and this is with all the injuries that we had. I would like to see this team, grow, but it's only going to grow if we get some starters, and particularly behind the center. I mean, I think either it's going to be Drew and he better drastically improve, or bet the farm and get Deshaun Watson in here and really make a statement, and we'll be happy for years and years to come.
My prediction is 500 or plus or minus 1. And then I think my coaching prediction is, because the Chiefs will probably win the Super Bowl again, and Peyton will be like, this is ridiculous. And so now they'll hire Bieniemy and then fire Fangio. But you're like, man, I really like Fangio defense. I wish I get to keep him, but Fangio won't just drop down to. Well, Ed Donatel is still there, and he hasn't got to be DC yet. So then you just push him, or I mean, he is DC, but like you keep him as DC, and but it's the same scheme. So you keep Ed Donatel as DC, and now you got something going. Now you have a pretty good, you just let Drew Lock do his thing for third year with Andy Dalton sitting behind him, pressuring him.
Andy Dalton leaving Dallas.
It's just so weird. I've never have been afraid that we were going to do well. Like that seems to be where I'm at. I'm afraid we're going to do well, and then we're stuck with the complete mess that we have with Fangio. I'm not saying he's not a good defensive mind. Like he's great, but it's all the other stuff that we keep having the problems with, like roster decision, who starts where, who goes where, time management, like anything with the offense. Like we have nothing. So like
that's because he's a defensive coach, and that's where he probably should have stayed. And I mean, we saw this happen with Vance with the defensive minded coaching, and it wasn't a good fit, and it's still not a good fit. And I think that's where the problem lies, is in the coaching. And if you had better coaching, you'd have a better team right now. And that's just the bottom line. It has to start at the top and work its way down.
Defensive,
I mean, if
trash defense. I don't even know why he's ever a defensive coordinator. He's so bad.
Yeah.
If only we had had a chance at Kyle Shanahan. If only. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody walked into Elway's office with a bigger checkbook, I think.
All right. So speaking of Super Bowl, what do we got for the Super Bowl?
Trash.
We got nachos.
Next.
We got nachos.
Guacamole. Yeah.
I think I'm going to order a pizza. That wasn't where I was going with that question. But
a meteor, hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just keep getting this feeling that it's going to be a Bucs Super Bowl.
How boring is this Super Bowl going to be?
Yeah,
I mean, how tired is everybody of seeing Tom Brady out there on the field?
For the Chiefs.
He's not even that. He's not even that.
This is pretty much. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Saw movies, but I feel like one of the victims where it's either kill yourself or save your life by getting up a limb. Either way, non-Bucks and Chiefs fans are losers.
Dark but correct.
The Saw. Good Lord.
I'm sorry.
Woo.
And I hate horror movies for the record. So
I love horror movies. That's why I'm watching the Super Bowl.
I can't stand.
I think I'm one of those rare Bronco fans that doesn't have legit hatred for the Chiefs. The Raiders I feel like are on a totally different plane. You know, like if you had to name my top 3 things in life that I hated, the Raiders would make that list. But you know what? The Chiefs got their win last year. Andy got his Super Bowl finally. I live in New England. I've had to deal with these people all the last 20 years. And it is Bill Belichick's biggest nightmare that Tom Brady has now moved on. I have.
Oh, cool.
I'm going Tom Brady.
I was hoping you had a shot.
Wow. If the Chiefs weren't in our division, I think I would like respect them more because they seem like okay people. But one of my good friends is a big Chiefs fan, but no, screw them. Sorry, I can't.
I've never had like legit hate for the Chiefs years ago. Like when they had Priest Holmes as a running back, I legit hated the Chiefs. I hated when they gave the ball to Priest Holmes and he just run it everywhere. I think that's the only time I've
Tyreek Hill now. That's Tyreek Hill now.
I mean, I'm basically torn because like a part of me would rather see Tom Brady get another ring because there are a lot of Bucs players on that team that have played so very well over the season that they deserve a ring. One of them being Shaq Barrett. But on the other hand, I'm part of a suicide pool and I picked the Chiefs to win. So I don't know if you can see on camera, but I have a trophy to my right that I won.
Chiefs something.
I have a football trophy that I won because I bet that the Eagles would win the Super Bowl, and they did, beating Tom Brady. So if
you're terrible at betting is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm terrible at betting, but if the Chiefs win, I win another mini Lombardi trophy, and Tom Brady gets beat again. So
I couldn't see the trophy; it was blocked by your sweatpants.
No, my sweatpants are over there. They're wet from my behind rolling in the snow.
I try really hard to see the silver lining for this. Like, if the Chiefs win, then Peyton comes into this division where he's like, oh, they won last year, oh, they won again, and they have Patrick Mahomes. I'm gonna have to do something and just like maybe do something crazy that switches something up. If Brady wins, maybe he retires. Maybe he cuts his contract short and is just like, well, this is good. I proved my point, and he's gone. So whatever. Like, hopefully something like that happens after whichever one wins, or a meteor. Meteor's fine too. That's fine.
I saw that Brady said he wants to continue playing till he's like 49.
45. Good
45
night.
And
I mean, like at this point, does it even really matter if he wins another Super Bowl? Like, he's got 6. Does it matter at this point?
I
like,
just conceded.
Just adding on right now. There's no record to break. There's no does adding another one really matter?
It does to me because it's not really him winning it or not. It's the aftermath of everybody talking about the greatest quarterback of all time, and to me, that's just.
But I mean, how is he not though? I mean, like
I just give it to him. I don't even care anymore.
With the Patriots being like, it's the system, it's the coach. He's not with the Patriots anymore, and like he brought his. Well, and I mean, even Arian said that it was kind of like when Manning came to the Broncos. It was a mix of mostly
offense,
So it's the same thing with Brady and the Bucs. So I mean,
it's his offense with way better players.
Yeah, so
way better.
I've never been a fan of Brady, but I mean, with the numbers he has, you can't really say that he's not the greatest quarterback. I mean, personally, I don't think I hate him, but stats wise and records wise,
I'm trying to trademark a term that's like most talented player of all time. Like GOAT can be like whatever you consider great is.
He's won the most Super Bowls of all time. That's it.
Yeah. What's an animal that you can use to decipher that?
Touchdown records, yardage records, win records. Like, he's got all the records.
I mean, it's a record that in the future, maybe long after we're gone, will live to have somebody break it. So
probably Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes.
Very
boring to think about. Which is so dumb to think about. I don't even want to. I
can't.
So maybe we should.
Deshaun Watson.
Maybe we should stop worrying about the trades and start figuring out how we restructure divisions and conferences, and petition for that to go about. I think that might be an easier.
I think Denver should be in the division with the Jets, the Jags, and the Bengals.
Tom Brady's old division.
That's what I
think. Maybe not Jacksonville because they're getting a really big facelift.
Yeah, they're coming
next year. So
they're going to be a college team next year.
Yeah, the facelift has to start somewhere. It won't be pretty. But...
So, is there a prop bet for a meteor and when it's going to actually hit?
There's an app for that.
There's an app for that.
Space Force.
Yeah, buy stocks.
So I know that Glenn has been to a Broncos game. I've been to one. Has everybody been to a Broncos game?
Yes, sir.
I have not. I live in Seattle.
Have you been to the Seattle game?
They don't play each other. You know how long it
I know.
takes me to explain to people out here that we barely ever play the Broncos? Like everyone thinks we're rivals or something. It's like we're not.
You've never traveled.
They're never
Just
here.
that
I can't
one
go.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl 48. Super Bowl
That
48.
we got our asses handed to us. So I don't even understand.
Mhm.
Like,
You know, I mean, we used to be in the same division as the Seahawks, so there
but
was,
none of them, the ones that don't know that, they don't know that.
I don't think
Jim Zorn and Dave Craig, but that's cool. You know,
I would love to go to one. I've been to one live football game ever, and it was a preseason game. That's it. I don't really go to live sporting events. I like knowing what's going on more.
What game was
cool,
it?
It was like a preseason game between the Seahawks and the Cardinals. It was nothing special, and it was like
You'd be surprised how many people in Seattle don't know who Hasselbeck is or Sean Alexander.
we want the ball. We're gonna win.
we're gonna win. Yeah,
I'm sure there's those everywhere. Those the casuals, you know. But you know, whatever. I'll take it. That's fine. We have more Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
Chrissy, did you used to go to games when you were living out there?
You know, when I lived out there, I only went to 2 games. I was younger, so that was it. It was fun, and it was at the old stadium, so that was really cool. I haven't been to the new stadium though. All my Broncos games are here that I've been to.
I mean, is there that big of a difference between like Invesco and Sports Authority and then Empower? Is there a big difference between there now?
The name.
Just a name.
Well, no, like seating differences or
No, not at all. Not at all.
No,
Same feeling.
same.
thing.
One of the cool things with the original Mile High, and you'll watch it with the old games, is that, and I used to go to a lot of games growing up, is that they built it. It was actually on water. It was a shared baseball stadium, so you could actually shift some of the stands over water. But when the fans stomped, you would see, and so some of the old games, you'll see the cameras shaking. And when they built the new stadium that opened, I mean, hard to believe we call it the new stadium. It's been open 20 years this year,
Right.
And the opening night was actually the night right before September 11th. So that tells you how long ago it was. That actually they still built it with the ability for the fans when they stomp for the stadium to shake. It is,
it is amazing. That I can tell you firsthand. I felt that when I was there. Good Lord, it's like thunder, man. It's amazing.
And there's still water underneath there too.
Yeah.
It's what melts the snow on the field. So that's pretty cool.
Makes your feet soggy.
But they did build a mini Mile High out in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can walk in there before the games, and they actually have seats from the original stadium. And
That's really cool.
They'll do like events. And I was there not this past season, but the season before. And they had an event, and Steve Atwater and Carl Mecklenburg were answering questions. It was pretty cool. But so you can go in there and just kind of hang out, get your pictures taken, and they actually have a wall that has the names of every player that's ever played for the Broncos. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
And Barrel Man has a statue right outside that. So
I saw those pictures of the Barrel Man. I didn't actually see the statue when I was there. I didn't look for it, but I regret not looking for it when I
decided we need to get one of those automated Invesco or Empower needs to get one of those automated roofs that comes over. And then you have the paraglider come in, right? And then you do it. He has to get in right before it shuts every time.
That would make it twice as.
It'd be really cool.
Over the top.
Yeah. People would cheer when he lived or died. So that's cool.
I just always hope that the person riding Thunder doesn't fall or the horse do something crazy. So
you ever see that video of Eric Berry terrified of the horse?
No.
Eric Berry's terrified of horses, and it's not even. I'm not even joking.
Crazy.
There's video of it, and he like loses his mind every time he sees like thunder would come out on the field, and he would just. It's great. It's great. Look it up.
His face.
Afraid of horses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like Richie didn't experience the shaking for some reason. So.
I was at the beer vendors a lot. Never noticed the shake. Yeah, well, if you're up in the nosebleeds like we were, the vendors don't go all the way up. They just stand at the edge and yell beer. So unless you raise your hand, either you get up and get it, or they
at the beer vendors, it's not really much of shaking. It's more of like this motion.
Right.
More
Actually, Richie was shaking before he was able to get.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that's the Mile High Magic.
That's
right
not alcohol. That's not alcohol.
Oh, let's see. I'm trying to find some comments here.
Well,
For the beard.
we did look for Christy, but she was the only one of us that actually had a cardboard cutout of at the stadium during the games this year. But
I didn't even see it myself.
Were you ever able to find yourself?
No.
unless you lived in South Park, you weren't going to be shown on TV. At that time.
Yeah.
I wish they would have put people next to the South Park characters. Like it would have been an
Like in
option.
between.
Could have
Yeah.
been like, yeah.
You probably would have had to pay more for that.
Put
Mhm.
the cardboard cutout on Thunder, so when they
Yeah.
run them out, you're on the back.
I would have been next to Mr. Hankey. I know that for a fact.
I probably would have been right behind Kenny.
At least you're not with Kenny.
Well,
Raul,
Kenny got some cheerleader action, so
As long as I'm next to
It's a good
Shaq,
seat.
that's fine.
yeah. Raul, I'd rather see Tom do another one than the Chiefs.
You know what? It's actually too bad that the NFL couldn't do what the NBA did in the bubble, where they had video screens and people can sit obviously from the comfort of their own home, and it's like you're sitting there, and then next to you it's like Lil Wayne or former
Oof.
President Barack Obama,
Lil
or
Wayne.
somebody like
As
that.
a tech guy, that makes me shudder. You know how many of those that would need to be at an NFL game? That would be crazy.
So here's a question: do we know how long the TV contracts for the NFL last? Like, are they about to come up, or did they just resign them?
I think
that was a few years ago.
Yeah.
They
Like,
re-signed it.
Wouldn't it be more profitable if the NFL had their own YouTube channel that they actually promote and put stuff on, and then they could broadcast, like you'd pay your monthly payment on the YouTube Premium or whatever to watch NFL games on YouTube, and then they'd have their own. Each team would have their own YouTube channel.
As
And you'd have
long
to pay that monthly payment to watch your team's games on YouTube. So the NFL is getting paid twice.
as
Why
long
when
as
you
it's
have
not Joe
consistent
Buck
bidding?
doing it.
You have consistent bidding from all these cable companies
Right.
and Amazon Prime, Nickelodeon. They're bidding on stuff. I mean, why just have your own you put it on YouTube and then you're just making the same.
You can make so
Whatever.
much more money on like the streaming services, like with Sling or with Amazon Prime, or the big streaming services, instead of going to cable or satellite, where they're all dropping channels all the time.
They did try that this season, where they had a game that was only viewable on Amazon Prime. It wasn't on cable or satellite or Sunday Ticket or whatever, and people lost their minds
Yeah.
on social media.
It
It
was
was
Thursday night game.
I think
Yeah, it was
so.
Thursday night game. Yeah.
It was like on social media, on Twitter, like people were comment or hating because they didn't have Amazon Prime. So if you didn't have Amazon Prime, you couldn't watch the game. So
That's why I just watch it illegally. You got to do like me, watch it illegally.
Yeah.
or go to a bar.
You just never know. You're just like, oh, same website every day.
If you don't have that DirecTV NFL package, like you don't get I don't get all the games. So it's like I either got to watch NFL Red Zone and be like, yeah, and then they go away to another game and I don't see the end of it.
Yeah.
Tell me if I spent that much money on Sunday Ticket.
I laugh at
I
that
have
announcer,
to.
because that announcer has to be quick just before the game changes, and he's like, "Oh, he's in for okay, here we are at the 20-yard line."
There's got to be a way where they can partner with like YouTube or some of these other streaming services where they have their own channel set for them, and then you have to pay like a monthly cost to watch the game. So or even like let a team
Pay
do it
per
on their own.
game.
Or let like have each team have their own YouTube channel where they're allowed to broadcast their games on the YouTube channel as long as you paid for the game.
Yeah.
Like especially
I wish
on,
they would do
like,
that.
this season with all the revenue they lost, if they were able to have each team have their own like YouTube channel or Patreon or whatever these other whatever these other live streaming ones are, if each team was able to have their own channel and then you pay for the game, revenue problem solved.
Yeah.
So just
They
looking
won't do that.
The NFL TV rights are up for renewal in 2022.
Yeah.
From what I've read, I knew it was soon. I didn't know the actual year, but from what I had read from like a Peter King, was that they expect that it's just going to be astronomical, the amount of money that the teams are going to be making. You know, in terms of Sunday Ticket, I used to have Sunday Ticket here. Fortunately, the neighbors' trees have grown to a point. I mean, it sounds crazy that I cannot have a satellite dish at the house anymore. Yeah. And even petitioning DirecTV, they would not allow us for Sunday Ticket. So just like Mike, I looked like Doc Brown during these games. Some of these games,
oil on your head.
I've got I've got the phone,
trying to watch these games,
the iPad, the Red Zone, and I'm trying to piece together the the game cast with the Red Zone and the serious Dave Logan thing, and none of them, of course, were synced up. But I think that you're gonna see. I was shocked that they didn't opt out. The NFL didn't opt out of the DirecTV contract when they had the ability to do that. But I don't think they're going to make that decision again. I think we're going to have a lot of options, especially with the streaming services. Boggins mentioned Nickelodeon. The whole point of that was
that was cool.
They're realizing that kids aren't watching the games like we did growing up, and sure enough, they need to interest them. So I think there's going to be a lot of cool changes. And
I think those old people were more interested than the kids were. That was cool. I wish it was like actual slime instead of like fake slime, but
Nate Burleson is like the coolest dude anyway. I mean, he just
if the NFL did what like the WWE did with like WWE Network, like you can sign up for $10 a month and then get everything, like make the NFL Network the actual NFL Network, and it's its own thing where you can download the app, you can watch games on it. I would pay $30 a month for the NFL Network and be able to watch games on it.
That confused me so much when it first came out. I was like, but there's no NFL here.
Yeah, it's like why don't they should make the NFL Network like a standalone app kind of thing where like
basic cable people
your favorite team, you can watch the team's game on there, and you paid $20 to $30 a month on that. I'd pay for that.
But people get it for free and watch NFL for free if it's televised and with their basic cable, their local teams. Like I don't think that's ever going away. People would lose their minds if
Let
they
them
watch.
Because mostly, I mean, you watch a game where you live, that's who you're a fan of. And so you have this whole community of people like all of us. We're not from Denver and we want to watch the game. So I pay for Sunday Ticket. I don't really care. That's what I want to do. I literally don't watch TV other than football. So I pay for that. But could you imagine here, like if that happened and the Raiders fans or San Francisco fans couldn't watch the game, they had to pay extra on top of their cable.
Yeah.
They would be
to watch Oakland.
No one wants to.
Well, no, I guess
they do.
Vegas Raiders.
Sorry. Yeah. Vegas now.
They still suck no matter what town they're in.
Yeah, they could go anywhere.
Do you have to have DirecTV to get Sunday Ticket, or is it like See, why can't they have like a standalone thing where you can buy into it?
I know I wish that you could just buy the Sunday Ticket alone, but you can't.
Bidding. It's the exclusivity of it. It's they have to pay more for it. They have to pay the NFL more, and the NFL's like, cool.
And AT&T is who owns DirecTV, so
we actually were gonna
$150 for the standalone. Cool.
We were actually gonna cancel DirecTV because now that my brother doesn't live here anymore, I was like, I don't need to watch. I only want to watch the Broncos. I don't really want to watch all the games. And when we called to cancel it, they offered to cut it down to half price.
They do that. They do that a lot
for one more season.
It's the same as Madden. Like EA pays the NFL a certain amount, and then they get these 6-year contracts. That's why they're the only ones allowed to make or to use the players' names in their, or use the NFL in their games. Yeah, so like they take the most money.
Money,
and charge you $60 a year for
recycled trash.
So after Jeff Bezos buys the Broncos, will Amazon still be allowed to bid on the NFL?
He stepped down. Let's see if he actually wants to continue working.
We'll be the Amazon Broncos.
He's like chairman of the board, so he's still going to make basically as much money, if not more.
If you were that rich, would you really still be working?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do something.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
When your salary, like, yeah, I'm done. I'm good.
But they opened up an Amazon warehouse not too far from where I live, and a gas station that was like rarely occupied now. Every time I go pump gas there when I can't make it to Sam's Club, is littered with just Amazon drivers. It looks like a lunchroom in there. They're hanging out, having coffee, talking. Their trucks are outside either getting refueled or waiting to be unloaded or something like that. So it's
trying to take over the world.
Yeah, it's crazy just how big one Amazon warehouse or whatever you want to call that distribution center can
imagine.
do.
Yeah, imagine if we had someone from like the former CEO of Amazon as an NFL owner that had to talk with like Goodell all the time, and like the amount of things he would try to push on the NFL all the time because now that's Goodell's boss. So like it would just be like a continual. Oh man, if Amazon Prime had only one game a week now.
Yeah,
you know what? Prime time.
Jones is like, look at all my money, and Bezos is like, bam.
Yeah, Amazon Prime, and you get all the games. It's like, whoa.
You know what? That's
only Broncos games. Only Broncos games. That would be amazing. All the Broncos games are streamed on Amazon Prime if you have a membership. Perfect.
Yeah. You know, that's one thing that Raul brought up that I'm kind of glad football doesn't do. They do it in basketball and in soccer where they wear the company or sponsorship names on their jerseys. So I always found that a little bit tacky-ish. Basketball didn't do it up until maybe the 2000s. But I just hope that the NFL can stay away from putting corporate sponsorships and whatnot on their jerseys or helmets, like dedications and whatnot. That's fine, but you know, corporate sponsorships, totally different thing.
All right, well, Boggins has got to head out, so we're all gonna head out. So we're go ahead and drop out whenever you need to, man. So we're gonna go ahead and call it a night. This has been fun. I like these. Just sit here and talk. Plus, I don't have to plan as much. I don't have to do as much work, which is awesome. So we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna dip out.
Did you see spirit fingers too? I mean, we haven't seen those since the beginning of the show, but there you go.
Hey, I want to yell poltergeist, but nothing's like flashed on me. So again, we want to say
poltergeist, but that's
we want to thank everybody for joining us live. Again, we go live every Thursday, 7, 6, 5, and 4. Obviously, it's Eastern, Central, Mountain, Pacific. I did that fast. You can catch us live on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. Go ahead and give us a like, a follow, and a share. And go ahead and give us thumbs up. Thumbs up are very helpful. I've noticed that anytime you click a thumbs up, they start pushing us more in that stupid algorithm that YouTube has. YouTube sucks. YouTube is hard. You know that? It takes a lot of work on YouTube. I don't like YouTube. I mean, I love YouTube. Thanks, YouTube. So go ahead and give us a thumbs up on there. Give us a follow.
Daddy, hurry.
What? Where? What?
Someone said, wait, one question for you guys.
What's the question?
I don't know.
What's up, Caddy? Go ahead. We'll wait for like 2 seconds.
Type.
Okay, we're done. Now
Caddy types with 2 fingers. Please.
I type with 2 fingers. You just gotta type fast.
The pointers are easier than the pinkies.
The pointers are easier. Yeah, no, we are we're definitely in the middle of pushing Facebook pretty hard. We love the platform that we're getting on Facebook. Because we're able to we can post like videos on YouTube, but on Facebook we can post like stories that we get from like MHH or DNVR or any of these are Sports Illustrated, ESPN. We can share all these stories on Facebook that we can't do on YouTube. So we've been pushing YouTube or Facebook pretty hard. So go ahead and give us a follow and a like on there. Ceiling, Deshaun or Locke? Well, if you're talking about who has a higher ceiling, it's definitely not Locke. Which is higher? Deshaun. Deshaun has the higher ceiling by a lot. I mean, like when we first got like drafted Locke and he was going to be the franchise quarterback, we all thought he had a very high ceiling. There was no limit to how high he could go. After watching him play for a season, there is a limit on how high he can go. I don't think that I don't think his ceiling is even close to Deshaun Watson's. So,
and that's not to say Drew's not going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. It's just when you're comparing him to somebody that just looks I mean, just spectacular over not just Drew, like literally every other quarterback with the exception of one or two in the NFL. So I think the ceiling has to be Deshaun. But of course, you know what would happen is we trade for the guy and then he gets hurt in the first game.
Like, no.
Yep. And then we get to watch all our picks and players and whatever having fun in the sun elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and step out again. Give us a like, follow, and a share. Click those thumbs up, and we will see you guys. Well, actually, Tuesday we've got Broncos talk, and then Thursday we'll see you again. So we'll see you in a couple of days. Bye, guys.
Thank you.